The Garden Report is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
Hey, Bobby Manning here. Celtics make their move at the 14th roster spot after trading Jaden Springer. Yesterday, Brad Stevens said before the game they would move quickly to fill that spot with a wing, and it took less than 2 hours for them to do it. During the second quarter tonight, Torrey Craig's agency announced that the Celtics signed him. And he's going to fill that 14th roster spot, probably for about $800,000. Still big luxury tax savings. And from what I hear, Craig, a big target of Stevens once the Bulls released him early this weekend. It doesn't surprise me. They need wing help. He's been a pretty steady contributor in both a role where he doesn't play and even a starting role as recently as 2 years ago. And he was just available, and I think that helps too, that you don't have to give up anything for him. Again, big tax savings here, and I think he'll fit the locker room. I've never talked to him, I've never met him, but I've heard a lot of positive things about him as a personality over the years covering the league.
Me too, and I'm excited. I think he'll provide them that veteran experience. He's 34 years old. He's played in 75 playoff games.
And he's in the finals too in 2021.
Yeah, and he's a good three-point shooter ultimately. Like, he's shot 39+% in each of his last 3 seasons, and so he's trended upwards throughout his career. I think honestly, like, there's just no place on this roster for a guard that can't shoot based on just the way they run their offense and the way they prioritize things. Everybody knows I'm a big Jaden Springer fan. I wish that they didn't have to get rid of him, but I think this is a good return for a win-now player. And it was funny when Brad said we're going to sign the 14th spot really soon.
I thought who it was.
I figured it was like it was pretty much confirmed and it was just going to be reported soon, or else he wouldn't have given us that tidbit. So 15 spots still remains to be seen. I think that he kind of alluded to it being something that maybe will be figured out later in the season.
I think that's going to be a two-way conversion.
I think probably Drew Peterson, most likely, who played today in the fourth quarter for an extended run. So that's the roster. And so ultimately, what you saw in this trade deadline was a swap, Jaden Springer for Torrey Craig, and you saved a bunch of money on it. And buyout guys are not going to make or break your season. They're not going to win you the championship or make you not win the championship, but I think we all wanted to see a backup wing, just not knowing Sam Hauser's status. Brad Stevens said it very plainly, the wing is going to be the priority, and we have it, and I think fans should be happy that it's somebody that is kind of a proven NBA guy, not like a flyer.
Yeah, for sure. And the big question with him, of course, health. He hasn't played since December 30th. Only 9 games played this year in total. I guess it's a leg injury. It's a pretty vague description that's been on the Bulls injury report for a while. And, of course, they waived him without any shopping after the Levine move and some of the other shuffling that they were doing. So I do think there's some red flags here in terms of, all right, why'd you get him for free? Why was he out there and available and no one else wanted him? I think he got cut several days ago. So all of those are probably real questions. And I guess even if he doesn't play for another, let's say, couple weeks, a month, or however long it is, they don't need him right now. So whenever they can get him going, and if anything happens down the line where they do need a wing to step into some depth spot there, I feel moderately comfortable, depending on how healthy and effective he is at this point, that he can step in and be some level of Hauser insurance. Not to say he can be Hauser, but he's at least a veteran wing who can come off the bench and play and allow them to play some wing-heavier lineups rather than just going double big with all their bigs whenever Hauser misses time. This is what they needed, but is a good enough player to actually fill that role, you think?
I think that remains to be seen. I mean, there was a couple of guys that we had our name, we were kind of monitoring, Lonnie Walker, even O'Shea Brissett, who's back in the G League. There's guys
Yabu.
that kind of know the system. I mean, Yabu wasn't available for this, for this purpose, but they probably surveyed those wing options, had some conversations, wanted to ensure that whoever comes in is going to be totally fine not playing a minute, I would imagine. That was probably a priority because ultimately they don't want somebody to come in and disrupt the locker room or cause any issues. And Brad's talked about that multiple times over the years of just not adding somebody that's going to cause problems. And probably all the signs pointed to this being a pretty safe signing, just because of his experience, as you mentioned, finals experience, his ability to shoot. I'm not sure about him as a defender. I've seen kind of conflicting
I think he's sturdy.
descriptions.
But
yeah,
again, 34,
he's 34
with injury. I got
to watch some film, but I think ultimately, you got to feel good that they I think it's probably an upgrade for them for what they're looking for right now, which is somebody that they're going to trust, and that's not going to be too big of a liability offensively, as much as it pains me to say that.
And can I say, we're going to see Meg Thee Stallion here? Is that coming to the Garden? Is that going to be
it's not doing much for me.
Celebrity role?
Yeah, we could use some celebrities here. We don't get a ton of them.
I want to see it.
Yeah, when we were in LA and New York, I was noting, like, we don't really get a lot of celebrities in Boston, so.
All right, let us know what you think below. Torrey Craig, the addition at the deadline effectively here on the buyout market coming over from the Bulls. And Celtics still have a 15th roster spot, which Brad said earlier. They'll fill probably later in the year. So for Noah Dalzell, I'm Buddy Manning. We will talk to you in New York, Celtics-Knicks, Saturday night, as the Celtics begin a short road trip here before the All-Star break. Hey, Buddy Manning here. If you made it this far, you probably enjoyed this video, so subscribe, turn on notifications, and check out our social media platforms at Celtics CLNS.